Oh, winter. It's starting to get so bloody cold outside, and winter is one of the hardest months of the year for us singers. We're dealing with mucus, dry mouth, crinkly throat. I don't know what a crinkly throat is, but anyway, the dusters are flying, the tissues are being used in the hundreds of thousands. I'm here to help you with my top 10 winter tips to survive as a singer. Let's just get straight to it. Number 1 in your winter toolkit should definitely be nasal irrigation. Hang on a second. Oh, go. I've got to go and get it. I'm back. Studies have shown that nasal irrigation is a great way for you to thin the mucus that lines the nose and the upper airways. So our nose is a huge filter, and when we breathe in throughout the day, we're breathing in dust and all sorts of things, including germs. So what we're doing here is we're cleaning them out, and it's making it less likely for a cold to break out in our bodies. With a saline solution as well, we're also bringing moisture to our nose, which is really great considering when you turn on the heating, everything just gets dry, which is like bad news for us singers. So you have a couple of options. You can either use the same one that I do, which is a pre-mixed variety, or you've got the ever famous neti pot, which is also available to you. It's just slightly more water, and I find this a little bit more convenient. Number 2, drinking a hot beverage of any kind. Cheers. Now, studies have shown that although drinking a hot drink does not directly affect the mucus or the thickness of the mucus within our throat and our upper airways, it does have a placebo effect, and it makes us feel good. And as we know, science shows that a placebo effect is just as good as the real thing. It doesn't matter what hot beverage you drink, whether it's coffee, tea, or hot water, you choose whatever tastes good to you, and you'll notice that it has a soothing and calming feeling inside your throat, which is really great. Personally and anecdotally, I also have a feeling like when I warm up my throat and when I warm up the upper airway region, which is obviously what's happening with the steam that's coming off the hot drink, then my mucus starts running and I can just clean it out with a tissue as easily as possible. And that stops that from happening, which is where the mucus likes to pull on top of the vocal folds and stops us from being able to sing with ease. Honey, 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 must be funny, 'cause it's number 3. Did you know that all natural honey has been shown to be antibacterial, and it stops the spread of germs and nasties in your upper respiratory tract? So basically everything above here, so above the larynx level, is what we're talking about when we're saying your upper respiratory tract. You might think that because I come from New Zealand, I would say only Manuka honey, but that is just coming from big honey. And we know that Manuka does have great benefits, but all natural honey is antimicrobial, and it can help to stop the spread of a flu if you have some of those germs creeping around in your mouth. It also doesn't really matter how you take it. You can put it in your tea, you can put it in your coffee if you really want to, or you could just eat a spoon of it if you really like. I prefer to have my honey on a piece of toast, but whichever way suits you best. It doesn't really matter. It's all about just getting the honey in your mouth. Yes, and most New Zealanders do have a whole bunch of Manuka honey at home because it's delicious. Oh, I need to do that more often. That's so yummy. Number 4, I want you to get outside and go for a walk, but obviously after watching this video. Studies have shown, and we do know just from like general knowledge, that getting outside with some fresh air can help to breathe deeper into the lungs and get some of that stale carbon dioxide that is stored in the lower section of the lungs out of the body and improving lung function and lung health, as well as your circulation and heart health. There's a huge list. But studies have shown that moderate exercise will reduce your ability to get a cold or for a cold to develop within your body. So you can just fight it off before it even breaks out. And obviously, having a cold is pretty terrible for a singer because it means you have to cancel gigs and cancel singing lessons and all that sort of jazz. So go on, get out there and go for a walk and breathe in all that fresh air. Wrap up with a scarf. Studies that are recently coming out of Yale University have shown that covering your nose with a scarf has been shown to reduce the ability for you to get a cold. And not because you're blocking in the germs from getting in. Apparently, a cold nose creates the perfect breeding ground for any bacteria. So when you go outside, cover it up and you will be less likely to get sick. Number 6, wash your hands. I feel like this was a little bit done to death in 2020, but you can't actually catch a cold from just getting cold. You catch a cold from all those wonderful germs that you usually get from touching a whole bunch of things. So be sure to sneeze into your elbow and wash your hands as often as you can before touching your face or eating your meals. Because especially in winter, this is where the germs like to live. I hate to tell it to you singers, but we are heading into a season where everyone's indoors, we're meeting with lots of different people, and that means we're going to come into contact with lots of different fabulous germs, good and bad. So sometimes as a singer, we just have to simply avoid that party or avoid going to that club when we've got a gig coming up or when we've got a really important performance. Singers tend to hide a little bit from these really big public gatherings, so why don't you try going for a walk with your friends or catching up outside for a nice glass of hot glühwein, or try to limit your gatherings to smaller groups of people. I know, it sounds really crap, but honestly, singers, we need to protect our voices, and sometimes catching up in these massive groups is a little bit tricky for all those germs. Number 8, we are about to get into a silly season of meeting lots and lots of people. As I said before, maybe you've made the decision to not get out and meet all of your friends, but one of the biggest killers for the voice is with a dry environment, like what's happening in winter with the heating going on, and vocal fatigue. So what often ends up happening is we start to talk really, really loud in these big spaces and our voices get tired and we keep on speaking through the tiredness, through those first signs that our voices are not having a very good time. So what you can do is you can employ a little bit of twang into your voice so that you can be heard over top of everybody else. By creating that little bit of annoying space and tightening above the larynx, it can sound a little bit funny now, but in a large space, it will actually save your voice quite a lot. You can also just simply say to your friends, hey guys, can we just go take our drink outside and we'll put our coats on and I can speak to you with a little bit more ease. It depends on your workload at the moment, but I do really find, especially with all this dryness going on, that the voice can get fatigued very quickly. So see if you can keep the volume down when you are out enjoying yourself in winter. Number 9, I want you to make sure that you stay hydrated. Don't mind if I do. In the winter time, the heating's going on. We're getting a drier air in general in our houses. And what can end up, and we also, because of the heating, we also lose moisture from our bodies as well. So what you're wanting to do is to make sure that you're drinking plenty of fluids throughout the day. And it doesn't matter what fluids, it could be coffee, tea, water, juices. I'll leave that up to you. But when you're making sure that you're staying nice and hydrated throughout the day, you're going to be thinning that lovely mucus that likes to sit on your vocal folds, and it makes it much easier to get rid of for your voice, and it just makes it easier. You reduce vocal fatigue, you've got a lovely thin mucus, and that's what you want for good, healthy vocal technique, rather than the in between your song. Last but definitely not least is I want you to make sure that you have your throat lozenges handy. I was talking about staying hydrated, but it's not always possible to just have your cup strapped to you for the entire day, quietly drinking while trying to have conversations. So what I like to say to students is to make sure that you've got plenty of throat lozenges in your pocket in case your voice is getting dry, because dryness will lead to vocal fatigue, which will lead to your singing sounding a little bit crap. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I don't want you to go out and spend $5 for 12 of any type of ridiculous throat lozenges that are out there. Just choose whichever one suits you best. And I'll let you in on a little secret that not a lot of people will tell you, and that is that gummy lollies have exactly the same stuff as these non-active ingredient throat lozenges. Obviously, if you're getting something prescribed to you, or the pharmacist is giving you something with an active ingredient to remove the slime or the mucus from your throat, that's something different. But I do really recommend, if you love them, then suck on some gummy lollies. I just technically prefer my ginger orange throat lozenges. So whichever one you prefer, you do you. They do exactly the same thing. And basically what it's about is that we have the true vocal folds and the false vocal folds. And when we swallow, they get squished together. And we have a saliva gland between the two of them. And so what ends up happening is that all that saliva gets pushed out over the vocal folds when we swallow. So basically we're using those throat lozenges to increase our swallowing rate so that we can keep our throat nice and moist. So there you have it, everybody. You've got your nasal spray, you've got your honey. It does not have to be Manuka. It's just, I prefer Manuka honey, like the taste of it, and my parents bring me kgs of it from New Zealand. You've got your throat lozenges, you've got your gummy lollies. I want you to make sure that you're staying really hydrated. You are going to have an amazing winter. I know, because you've got like all these tools and you're going to use them to kick ass in your singing. So if you've enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button to get more tips about how to sing better. If you're interested in singing lessons, then check out the link in the description below, because my vocal academy is open and accepting new students. I'll see you around here next time. You can check out my 5 tips up here on how to sing higher. I'll see you around here next time. Happy singing and ka kite anō.